So it's a new year and you really want to improve your wedding photography. Let's talk about 5 photo tips to help you improve your wedding photography. The first one is extremely straightforward, but stop down. Now, if you're not familiar what stopping down is, we're talking about your aperture or your f-stop. Now, one thing that we all do, and I do it myself, is we shoot wide open all the time. But you have to remember there's a time and a place to actually stop down. Now, I'm especially talking to all of you full frame shooting photographers because full frame with a 1.2, 1.4 lens, you're missing half your shots. And one of the biggest things I get questioned all the time is how do you get your photos so sharp? Why are my photos blurry? Now, obviously, there are a bunch of different ways that your photos can be blurry, but one of the main ones is just missing the focus. And with the super low aperture, the chances of you missing the focus are higher. I'm not a big fan of stopping down a lot. You don't need to be shooting at f4, f5.6 like the whole wedding, but don't be wide open at 1.2 all day. Use it sparingly and know why you're using it artistically. Tip number 2 is to shoot less and be more intentional. So many photographers go to their weddings, put their camera on high shutter, and just be taking 20 photos for every single thing that happens. When you're doing this, you're doing a huge disservice to you, your client, and also your work. Don't forget, wedding photography is artistic and it's something that you want to actually be intentional about. One thing that helps me get into this mindset is actually shooting with film. I shoot with film fairly often to get me in that mindset of I only have 36 shots. Let me actually take a photo of what I want to, not just spray and pray for everything that's happening. Have an idea of what type of photos you want to take. Have a routine that you normally do on your wedding days. I know it may feel like it's not very creative, but don't forget, wedding photography is mainly customer service, and you want to provide a single product for all of your couples. Because of this, there's a bunch of type of shots that I always take at every single wedding. I mean, pretty much it's gotten to the point where I shoot these shots so often that some of my seconds who work with me very often, they pretty much know what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, and where I'm going to do it. They'll be like, hey, John, this room will be great for this one shot you do because we see you do it all the time. Or here's another great shot for a wide shot Wednesday. Here's another great spot for a Brenizer. Do stuff like that. Have the shots you want to do and then be creative outside of that. But have something set in stone and also be intentional. Everything that's happening at a wedding is not a moment that you need to capture. There are certain things that are moments, there are certain things that matter, and then there's just things happening. Stop feeling like you're not providing enough photos for your couples. Stop feeling like you're not doing enough because it's actually hurting you as a photographer. And I know it's easy to feel like that. All day you're like, I'm not taking enough photos. I'm not. Just don't. Make sure you're capturing the big moments. Make sure you're capturing what matters and know that you have a set way that you shoot, which will always make your couples happy. That way you don't have to be as stressed. Tip number 3 is to direct your photos. And I talk about this all the time, but even if you want to be mainly a photojournalistic wedding photographer, you need to be directing your photos. Don't be 3000% hands off on a wedding day. People want direction. That's what they hired you for. Now, you don't have to like hold it so tight that everything is posed and faked, but on the same end, you need to know when and where to tell people what to do and when and where to stand back and let it happen. By doing this, you're able to get absolutely beautiful photos. Trust me. And if you shoot it in the right way and set the correct expectations with your couples, the photos won't really look superposed. Again, you can pull this off as the photographer. You just need to know how to do it. Because I hear that all the time. People get stuck between like wanting to be hands off and a fly on the wall, but then things don't turn out the way they want to and the photos don't turn out the way they want to. You have to actually get the photos and make them happen. Find that perfect middle ground between being a fly on the wall and also heavily posing. The middle ground. Pose a bit, set it up, clean up the room, make sure it looks good. And then also when things are happening, sit back and take the photo. But there is an option where you can do both. I don't know why, for some reason, people think like you have to be either or. You either pose super heavy or you're photojournalistic and you say nothing to any of the guests. Like, no, there is a middle ground that you can sit in and it will give you the best overall photos. Tip number 4 is to make sure you learn the why behind the exposure triangle. And this is kind of what I was talking about with the first tip as well. Now, a lot of people love to just go out, get a camera, start shooting weddings, and be like, great. And then come to someone like me and be like, hey, what are your settings? My settings don't matter. What matters is that you understand the reason for the settings. A lot of people like to think of settings as some kind of thing that you turn on and you set it a certain way and it works. And that's not how it is. Your exposure triangle and how you set it is based on what you are trying to accomplish with your photo. Basically, a lot of it is your artistic vision for the photo you're taking at the time. There's no way that I could sit here and tell you, oh yeah, for weddings, set your camera to ISO 200 and 250 of a second. No, it's not that easy. It does not work like that. Every room is different, every lighting situation is different, and everything that you are shooting is different as well. So instead of worrying about what are my settings, what you need to do is be like, why is it set like this? Learn the attributes of the exposure triangle so that you can know what you're getting out of the settings that you're actually setting up. So for example, with shutter speed, higher shutter speed stops motion. Lower shutter speed gets blur. You also get more light or less light. Now when you know those attributes, if you're like, hey, I want to do a slow shutter shot where the couple's standing still and all their guests are moving and it's like all blurry and stuff, you would know why you set your shutter speed super low. It's because you want the blur. So instead of sitting around and being like, what are the settings for a blurry photo? You should already understand, because you know that the lower your shutter is, the more light that's let in and blurry photos. But then you have to compensate with having your ISO low and maybe your aperture high. Understand what you're doing. Understand what you're getting from each of the settings, not just what are the settings. And tip number 5, which is the one thing that gets me heated every single time, is stop depending on your camera to do everything for you. Now, something I absolutely cannot stand is everyone always asking what is the best camera for this, that, and the other. And then they just don't ever use the camera or learn how to use it or its pros and cons and quirks. Everyone just wants the best camera. At this day and age, all the cameras on the market are absolutely amazing. All of them can handle weddings. It's more so, can you handle weddings, and do you know how to use that camera? The big argument all the time is about autofocus and whose autofocus is the best. But really, why don't you tell the camera where to focus rather than just sitting back and waiting for it to focus for you? Now, there are certain styles of photography where you kind of do need the autofocus, like sports or wildlife. But with weddings, you are okay. And I mean, argue about it in the comments if you want to, but I use single point focus. I don't use continuous autofocus, and I moved the square where I need it to be to focus. And I've been doing it for literal 10 years. Because a lot of people love to be like, well, I need the autofocus because of weddings. It's possible without face detect auto. It is totally possible. And so instead of worrying about what's the best camera, learn your camera, learn how to use it for what you want, learn what it can and cannot do, and take beautiful photos based on that. Stop sitting back every year wasting your money upgrading to the next camera just because it has one extra stop of IBIS and the autofocus is literally 2 seconds fast. Like, stop. Find what works for you and learn how to use it. Because it's so funny, all these photographers want to sit around and get mad when someone comes by and they're like, whoa, great pictures, you must have a great camera. But then all you do is depend on the camera. Like, no wonder they say great camera, because all they see photographers doing is running around talking about how great their camera is versus them and their photos and what they're doing to get the photo. Again, it's like the film days. It was a metal box with a hole in it and a shutter. You set the settings. Even the film, like, only mattered but so much. Like, everyone was shooting the same stuff. Different brands had different things that helped them out a little bit, but for the most part, the art of photography is what moved the photo and the camera, not the camera and all of its technology. So seriously, like, learn your camera. Stop depending on the camera to do everything for you. Because honestly, in my opinion, if you're going to do that, you may as well just shoot an auto for everything, which there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not. But on the same end, like, understand how your camera works. Understand what it's doing if it is shooting an auto and how you can compensate for anything that you don't want it to do. Just learn your camera for real. Understand how to do it and don't blame the camera for your faults. Like, oh, I missed focus. That's you, not your camera. Oh, well, that's you, not your camera. Because again, if you're mad that people are like, oh, you must have a good camera, then actually shoot so that it doesn't matter about your camera. It's you. And you know the reason you're getting great photos is because you could shoot any camera someone handed you and make great photos. Now, these 5 photo tips are great and all for helping your photography, but what about your actual business and making money? Make sure to check out this video here for 5 tips to help improve your photography business. Because again, at the end of the day, you could take amazing photos, but if you ain't getting paid, what is the point?